everyone, welcome back to another Total War Warhammer 2 multiplayer match. This is going to be the Vampire Coast versus the Empire. This is what I'm going to classify as a silly build, because I have brought 5 mortar teams backed up by a Gunnery White being led by Count Noctilus. Now, the Gunnery White here, the reason why I have this formation is that so everybody can be affected by the Deadeye skill. So armor piercing missile damage and missile damage is going to be increased for all allies in range. So I am supporting basically like a massive amount of artillery with this Deadeye ability. Also, he gives the, where is it? Enchanted Ballistics. So increases the accuracy and reload skill of all units nearby. So I wanted to try a Gunnery White supporting, you know, obviously Count Noctilus and 5 mortar teams. Because the Empire, I assumed, would bring a bunch of squishy units, because a way to beat the Vampire Coast is, again, to build wide. And to build wide means you're probably going to have a lot of swordsmen, spearmen. Crossbows are almost a guarantee because they can do really well against the Vampire Coast. So I kind of went all in on the artillery, but I also got just a couple zombie pirate deckhand mobs with polearms. You can see I'm very defensively focused. 3 in the front, and we have 2 in the back. And then we also brought 2 Rotting Prometheans just because they're super tanky and they can block knight charges, whatever knight it is, Demigryphs, Reiksguard, whatever. They're pretty good at blocking it, absorbing it, and just kind of pinning a unit in place. So that is my army. The Empire army, sorry, I forgot the most important part. Scurvy dogs. I have 2 scurvy dogs, 1 in each corner. No one ever expects the scurvy dogs. So for the enemy army, we have 2 Demigryph Knights here in the forest. We have 3 great cannons and a mortar. So they went heavy on the artillery as well. We have 4 spearmen, 2 crossbows, Bright Wizard, and the General of the Empire. Now, they're not really going to leave any protection for their artillery, because I'm assuming they don't expect the scurvy dogs. Vampire Coast is not necessarily known for its mobility, though they do have options. But as you can see here, we're going to start raining down some mortary goodness. Now, I did not realize this when I picked the army, but this is actually a really good map for a heavy platform of mortars. Although we did just straight up lose a mortar here. Wow. Wow, the luck of a one-shot taking out an actual... Anyway, but the thing is, the way the hill is placed, it's very hard for the artillery to actually hit us. I say that, but this has been blown up already. Jeez, I didn't even notice that. Anyway, we're just going to be starting raining death. I'm going to be popping in enhanced or enchanted ballistics on all of these units here. So they should be firing... There we go, there's the enchanted ballistics. So they should be more accurate and fire faster. Scurvy dogs are already en route to try and take out all their artillery, because again, they're not leaving any protection. They probably expected deck droppers, of which I didn't bring any, and they're pretty easy to spot. So they were like, well, they have no mobility, so I'm just going to leave everything behind. And oh boy, they should have really looked behind them, because scurvy dogs are en route. A couple great cannons getting some shots on our mortars. God, wow, 2 shots, 2 kills on this mortar. Wow, that's very accurate. Lucky shots. Anyway, though, my 5 mortars are having a blast over here against the Empire infantry. Spearmen are already down. 2 spearmen groups, 3 spearmen groups kind of at half health here. The cannon, I think I switched the cannon over to the Outriders, or, I'm sorry, not cannon, but Noctilus. I think I finished, yeah, there he goes. Noctilus is going to go start shooting the Outriders because they are a big threat for us. I'm trying to move our Prometheans out there to keep the Outriders busy at, like, Noctilus's maximum range. I just want to kind of keep them sitting there and focus on these guys while I shoot them. Look at that damage from Noctilus. Oh my god, because he's also benefiting. You can see the thing down there in the bottom. He's benefiting from the 10% increased missile damage and armor penetration damage because of the Gunnery White. And by the time the enemy army reaches me, we have already routed 3 of their spearmen. We have already almost routed 1 crossbowman and are working on another one. That's just how... I'm assuming because of the enchanted ballistics and Deadeye of the Gunnery White is making these, so much more accurate and firing faster, that we have managed to just destroy their front line before it even reached us. And just the damage that Count Noctilus could do against his Outriders is insane. Meanwhile, the Demigryph Knights are now coming over here from the right. I don't notice them until around right now, because I think I was more focused on these Outriders just kind of looking this way. And I was like, oh crap, hey, there's Demigryph Knights here, because I did not spot them before then. Also, I was working on chewing up the artillery. The scurvy dogs are eating very well tonight. Oh my goodness. Anyway, we got a firestorm here. It does some damage to our polearms, but I don't know. Firestorm is just so random where it's going to end up. But anyway, the Demigryph Knights are coming in here. They're trying to get onto our mortars, which honestly at this point, like, the mortars have kind of done their job. They're really not going to do too much more. They've already wrecked all of their infantry. But they are still going to charge down the mortars. I'm going to pin them in place with some deckhand zombies that are summoned. Move some polearms in there. Count Noctilus is shooting up this Demigryph Knight, which is being held in place by the Riding Prometheans. This Riding Promethean, I am retreating to try and also deal with the Demigryph Knights. Outrider coming in. I'm going to hit it with some mortars. Gunnery White, I'm not sure what it's firing at, honestly. It's shooting at something. Who are you shooting at, buddy? The Outriders? You're probably blocked. That's what's probably going on. Because I didn't even put him on a mount. We've got another Flaming Skull coming down here. Again, its initial position was fine, but I already was starting to move the zombies out of this area, so it's actually not going to do too much. And I kind of feel bad for this poor Bright Wizard who's trying to do their best they can to keep the Empire in this fight, but it's pretty difficult because all their artillery has been destroyed, and I am just eating up the crossbowmen with my Scurvy Dogs. Scurvy Dogs did so much work, and I think the thing is the enemy was just so distracted by all of these mortars just raining death that they weren't even bothering looking around the map for the Scurvy Dogs. Yeah, Scurvy Dogs got it from the back. This poor General of the Empire just kind of fighting some generic zombies, and I got more generic zombies in this Bright Wizard. Mortars, again, have done their work, but they're still firing all over the place, and this is going to be a victory for the Vampire Coast. Yeah, so Mortars getting a lot of kills. Hell, even the one that was shot up and destroyed got 43 kills before the end. Scurvy Dogs, you gotta watch out for it. You gotta watch out for it. And what I did is what I typically do when I Vanguard deploy, Scurvy Dogs or anything, is you stick them in the corners, and if you stick them in the corner, their little blip won't actually show up in the minimap. So if you don't physically turn your camera to look at the back corners, if there's like not a forest there, like if they're not actually hidden in a forest, if they're just out in the open, then you won't see them on your minimap. Because like I know a lot of times I just look at the minimap up here in the corner to see if there's little blips behind me, and I won't see them because if you're up against the corner, that little corner section, you're actually technically like off the minimap in this view that's up here. So you're not going to be seen until you actually kind of start moving inward into the battlefield. So you can kind of just hide there. Again, if they don't physically move your camera to look in the corners, you can have some Scurvy Dogs on your artillery as well. But anyway, good game to Floss Shy here. Their poor artillery platform. One, it was very hard to even hit us because the way that the map was with that hill that we were just sitting on. Obviously not hard enough though because this mortar got sniped out, but still it was relatively hard for all these cannons to do any work there. But our mortars were totally fine, just kind of firing up and over, and yeah. So I just want to show this off to show the Gunnery White supporting a group of a lot of mortars and Noctilus. Again, that's just a silly build, and it seems to work. I'll be curious to try it again against a more numerous, wider Empire build that maybe my Scurvy Dogs don't get free kills on all of their artillery. I feel kind of bad, but I mean, that's the power of Vanguard deploying fast units like dogs. I love the pups. They're really good. Anyway, let's watch the cinematic view. These poor Empire soldiers, they didn't sign up for this. It seems to work. Like, these mortars did seem pretty dang accurate under the effects of the Enchanted Ballistic. Okay, just ignore those 3 shots. Okay. I think the Enchanted Ballistics just hit, so from now on they should be pretty accurate. You gotta respect the mortars, man. I think mortars will be a nice way to counter, like, greenskins, to counter the Empire as a Vampire Coast, because the safe way to win against them is to build wide, which means a bunch of low-armored, cheaper frontline infantry. And mortars excel at killing formationed light armor infantry like this. Like Orc Boys, Goblins especially. A little less on the Beastmen, because Beastmen, unless you're picking Ungors, which you probably shouldn't, you should probably just go Goreherds. Goreherds are spread formation, like a loose formation, so they don't suffer as much from the mortars, because the mortars' big damage is their explosions. And if the models aren't close together like these ones are, then they won't take as much damage quickly. Because Beastmen are kind of like the Vampire Coast, because they have very loose formations. So they are not as susceptible to mortars and explosions like this. But still, I think mortars are a pretty safe bet. Like, just take one. They're so cheap. They're 600, you know? So I may try and incorporate more of them into the build. Especially against the Empire, because crossbows are going to just wreck you. So if you can protect your mortars, in this case, if a hill can protect your mortars, and they can just run rampant, it's pretty scary. Also, Noctilus, the Necrofex. Turns out they do a lot of damage to lightly armored cavalry. They do pretty good damage to heavily armored cav too. But especially like right here, just shooting down the line like this, oh my god, it does so much more damage. If we were shooting head on, it would not do nearly as much. But since the way they're positioned here, we're just shooting down through their entire line. Like those cannonballs just going down and just hitting all of those models. It does so much more damage if you can shoot a unit like that from the side instead of directly head on. And then I'm like, oh crap, they got demigriffs. This unit is so cool. Go get him, Noctilus. That's probably the thumbnail right there. Either that or just a bunch of explosions. I don't think the Outriders are necessarily a bad choice either. Not necessarily, because if you have the crossbows, which they do, to kind of shut down some of the gunner units, then the Outriders in theory should have kind of just like free reign to shoot the Necrofex and crabs and stuff. Oh god! That one man took like 3 cannonballs to the back. Jesus. Move! Run, cats! Jesus. Bird kitties. That's gonna do it, friends. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this silly mortar build. When I say incorporate mortars into your armies, I don't necessarily mean 5 of them. This is just like a let's just do it, why not type of thing. But maybe, you know, 1. Again, they're like 600. They're pretty good. Gunnery wights seem I think gunnery wights are definitely like mandatory if you want to take a build that has a lot of artillery, like, you know, 2 great cannon or carronades and a mortar, or like if you like to run nothing but necrofexes, so this dude on a necrofex plus like 2 other necrofex, put them in a little kind of a close knit area, drop a gunnery wight, and then he's just boosting all their damage by technically 20%, and then he can boost their reload and accuracy skill for a while with the enchanted ballistics. So I think it's pretty much worth it. Also, he does pretty good damage on his own with range if he has line of sight. But anyway, thanks for watching, everybody. I will see you all next time. Take care.